Pauline are the children of an Angolan mother and a Congolese father. Dieu was born in a refugee camp in Zambia, while Pauline was born here in Australia. Colonised by the Portuguese in 1575, a 30-year-long Angolan civil war erupted with the departure of the Portuguese in 1975, leaving more than 500,000 people dead and a further 5 million displaced. Dieu and Pauline are now both working in Australia in their careers of choice. What was life like growing up in Australia for the two of you?
It was good growing up in that sense that, you know, living in very multicultural communities, it made the transition for me personally easier, because all my friends were from, albeit from different parts of the world. I was the only African, but we had, you know, Lebanese and Asians and Turks and Greeks and Italians, and also Australian, you know, Anglo-Australian kids as well, who were great because they were kind of used to growing up in that environment. A lot of shared experiences, you know, like I think there's something about whether you're African or whether you're coming from Yugoslavia or whatever, but when you're fleeing from war, there's a general acceptance that you know, people have come to Australia for a better life. So you kind of leave your old troubles and old kind of tribal conflicts behind. And
was the academic side of things really important to you?
It was instilled from us from a pretty young age that, you know, you come to Australia as a, you know, we were very lucky to come here, and we were very lucky to come here very, very young. So, you know, with that comes the responsibility to really kind of strive academically and work hard and study hard and make the most of the opportunity. You know, I can only speak for myself, but I'm not that smart, but we always had to study hard and work hard. That was pretty important.
He's very intelligent.
He is. Do you know, and he reminded me when I spoke to him first about doing this, he said, you know, when you photographed us, I said I was going to be a merchant banker. And how old were you then?
Yeah, early 20s.
20s, were you? And you said, I'm going to be a journalist. And what happened?
It came true.
And why does it come true? Is it just because you're so focused on making that path?
I think that I think we're both really lucky to know what we wanted to do from an early age. I think that makes things so much easier. So if you have that vision, and then that comes with ambition. If you've got the vision, you usually have the ambition and the focus and the drive, you can make it happen. But I think a lot of people, it's hard to know what you want to do, and knowing what you want to do gives you such an advantage.
When you're a migrant, it's always from a young age, what are you going to do? You know, like, and I've only, with my Australian friends, they never had that same conversations at such a young age, where it's like, you know, what are you going to do? What's your career? You know, what's your plan in life? You know, but when you're a migrant and you're in a country and you know that it's such a privilege to be here, and you know that it's you know, it's all about the future, then yeah, career planning is very important from a young age.
Yeah, and did your mother have an education?
Yeah, she did. She did. You know, she was educated. She was a teacher back in Angola. But when the war came and having to kind of flee and refugee life, that was kind of all kind of thrown out the door.
What sort of changes have happened in Australia since you were photographed for all of us in 2008?
I feel like Australia's changed. And so, you know, I think when I first entered the workforce or when I was at university, you know, I think I felt that there was general acceptance on multiculturalism as a project, as a kind of bipartisan kind of approach to the country. And I think for a whole range of factors, that's kind of slowly being, you know, being challenged and in some areas eroded. So, yeah, I think it's changed.
I haven't felt anything but Australian, and I've always had a really positive experience here. But this is the first time that I felt attacked and felt like I don't belong just because of the colour of my skin. And it's the first time I'm hearing my community being spoken about really negatively, and it's a really, it's an uneasy feeling. It gives me an uneasy feeling. It's a strange experience, because the people that it's coming from is the establishment, which is the most dangerous and scary part. You know, my interactions with you know, white Australian people every single day are fabulous and wonderful, and I've been given opportunities by white Australian people. My race has never been an issue in the opportunities that I've been given in my career trajectory. So then now to have politicians and the media try and create an environment that turns people against each other is very scary and it's sad. I've never really had a serious issue with racism. I think that the white Australian community is overwhelmingly welcoming and overwhelming. Of course, there's a percentage of people who have their prejudices, but overwhelmingly white Australians are welcoming and kind and warm and not racist. But to see our politicians try and exploit that small percentage of people and that small sentiment that is there in society is very disturbing.
If you project yourselves out, say another 10 years, it's been 10 years since all of us happened. If you take it 10 years forward, what do you see happening?
I think that, you'll see, Africans, in a lot more African Australians in Parliament. You'll see African, X% of the AFL will be of African Australian heritage, and the Australian basketball team will look similar to the French football team, the soccer team, and no one will blink an eyelid, and people will cheer and support them just like they do today. So I very much view it as a short-term blip, because you've got to get out of the 24-hour news cycles and the headlines and the Peter Duttons of the world and these types of people, right? You've got to look through that, and it's hard to see the world kind of pivoting. Multiculturalism, immigration, it's 100, 200, 300 year phenomenon, and we're looking at it at a 2-3 year horizon. So that's my long-term projection and view.
I really hope we get to a point where you don't have to be good at sport or be exceptionally good at what you do to feel welcome. As I said, these kids have come here at 4-3 from war-torn South Sudan. Australia's the only country they've ever known. They feel Australian, but unless they're really good at kicking football, they might not be good enough. So I hope I understand that is an important point of, bringing cultures together and creating cultural understanding and just introducing people to each other. But I hope that we get past that, where people who look different are just accepted because, they've signed up to the Australian project. And I think it's important for us to mention that, my brother and I, for whatever reason, it was by no means easy for us growing up. But I feel like we were isolated from the worst racism that can exist in society anywhere. I don't know why, but we were. And I'm working on a project now where I'm speaking to a lot of newly arrived African Australians, a lot of South Sudanese refugees, people my age who came when they were younger, but because they came in the 2000s, they came at a different time. I was born here. Their transition hasn't been so easy. They are having trouble finding employment because of they are even more visible than we are because they're South Sudanese and they are darker and taller. The fermenting xenophobia that's kind of bubbling now, that is affecting people's experiences now. So although we've had a really great experience, we also came up in a different time and things are changing and it's not easy for everyone at the moment. So as I said, we have to keep talking about these things.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I couldn't imagine now what it'd be like. I said, when I was kind of coming through and going to university and trying to get a job in an investment bank, I very much felt that, and maybe it's just a perception or it's your psyche, but I very much felt that, there was a general kind of want for diversity, cultural diversity, and if you can put your best foot forward, Australians would generally want to give you a chance. And that was only 11 years ago. Whereas, the Africans I speak to now who are in a similar position to me now 10 years ago, when I tell them that, they can't believe it because they're feeling it's a 180-degree turn. And so they're saying, how did you do it? And I said, I just kind of applied and put on a suit and, learned some big words and interviewed and kind of faked my way in. And they're saying, oh, wow, because we wouldn't even apply now. Do they employ Africans? And it's just so sad because I say, oh yeah, we're in Australia, mate. Of course, apply. So it's just in 10 years, it's all just regressed.
Is there one thing that you want to see happen here that you think can help us move forward?
I think getting people here and getting them engaged and putting them through training in English language and support to set them up for long-term success is half the battle. But at the moment, it's my sense of it is it's underfunded, it's under-resourced, and so we're having all these issues, violence, high unemployment, lack of engagement in the community, and they're the kind of the symptoms. But the problem is when people are coming here, there's not the level of investment required. So I think we should be kind of at the source, dealing with the initial problems, and that's financial and resources, and the community needs to accept that if we're not going to to solve the problems there, we've got to spend the money here. But I think we're both examples of, if you do it right at the at the origin, at the source, then the benefits here are a good investment. Yeah. I'm paying a lot of tax, Michelle.
Yeah. Good.